Disney's films have enchanted young and old since the 1930s. Their theme parks have thrilled holidaymakers for decades. However, it's not all happy smiling mice and beautiful princesses. Behind Disney's wholesome family image lies some dark secrets that they do not want you to know. Here's our top 10.
Amazing!
Number 10. The Tree of Life isn't as it seems. The Tree of Life is the centerpiece of the Animal Kingdom Park at Disney World. It's a giant tree, 145 feet high, with 325 carvings of animals on it, and a 400-seat theater inside it showing a 4D animated film called It's Tough to Be a Bug. It's a monument to nature and environmental preservation. However, the Tree of Life's green credentials are damaged somewhat due to the fact that it's not really a tree. In fact, it's built from the remains of a giant oil rig. When it was built in 1998, Disney bosses wanted it to be built around a metal skeleton that would allow it to be as flexible as possible. An old oil rig designed to withstand crashing waves seemed ideal. So, Disney's homage to Mother Nature is actually a tribute to fossil fuels. All I can say is that thank goodness that smoking in Disney World is prohibited. I hear those oil rigs can really blow up. Number 9. Disney like to get litigious. Like many big companies, Disney is very protective of their brand. However, in 1989, many people thought they went a bit too far. They sued 3 children's daycare centers in Hallandale, Florida for painting pictures on their walls of trademark Disney characters without asking for permission first. Despite being shamed by the world's media, who thought they were being extremely mean, Disney refused to drop the case. Their rationale was many businesses who pay vast sums of money to use Disney characters in their advertising would object to others using them without paying. Eventually, the child care centers painted over their murals. Meanwhile, Disney's rival in the Florida theme park business, Universal Studios, told the centers they could use their characters, like Scooby-Doo and the Flintstones, for free. Yabba dabba doo! Number 8. Disneyland has ghosts. You may find more mystery than magic at Disneyland. Numerous ghost sightings have been reported at Disneyland, and some have even been captured on camera. Here are 3 of the creepiest sightings. This one was spotted at the Tower of Terror of a worker carrying out a routine maintenance inspection. It's a long clip, so I'll cut it down slightly. During the scene, a ghostly figure appears in the seat behind them. Then, a few moments later, the figure seems to have moved to a few seats on the left side of the video. Here's another video, also shot at the Tower of Terror, this place really living up to its name. In this footage, you can see some sort of ghost sitting on the ledge, like a ghost looking back into the ride. Unless this is some hologram projected on the ride, this one is really spooky. And finally, the most disturbing ghost video is perhaps this one, filmed by a surveillance camera. The recording of the footage moves from camera to camera, following what initially looked like a simple reflection of light. As it passes across the 4 screens, moving through gates and other solid objects, it's more evident that the happy-go-lucky park either has at least one spirit calling the grounds home, or one maintenance worker with far too much time on his hands. Whatever caused these ghostly images to appear is unsure. Some may be a result of light trickery, or they may be genuine ghosts. Either way, they look very sinister. Number 7. Disney started the Suicidal Lemmings legend. If you ask people to name one fact about lemmings, the vast majority will tell you that they jump off cliffs to their death. However, they'd be wrong, and the reason they believe lemmings are suicidal is down to Disney. In 1958, Walt Disney Productions made a nature documentary called White Wilderness, set in the subarctic north of Alberta, Canada. For some reason, they decided this film needed some lemmings. Even though lemmings aren't native to that area of Canada, they brought a few dozen in for a shoot. The filmmakers used a rotating turntable covered in snow to give the effect of lemmings migrating. When they were finished with the lemmings, they threw them into a nearby river. The shots of the lemmings falling into the river were so dramatic, however, they made the final film, and a myth was born. White Wilderness won an Oscar for Best Documentary Feature. The secret that Disney pushed them off a cliff instead of the lemmings committing suicide off their own accord was uncovered 22 years later by a Canadian reporter, but it was too late for the lemmings. Number 6. There were brain-eating parasites in Disney World. There is a dangerous amoeba called Naegleria fowleri. If you're unlucky enough to encounter one, you're in trouble. It enters your body through the nasal passage, causing an infection that eats away at your brain. Naegleria fowleri is native to warm bodies of fresh water all over the world, although it is quite rare. Unfortunately, one of the areas Naegleria fowleri did call home was River Country, a water park in the Disney World Resort based around a freshwater lake. In 1980, the amoeba was named as the cause of death for an 11-year-old boy. The only place he went swimming before he died? That's right, River Country. Disney didn't close River Country after this tragedy though, but more about that later. I had something lodged in my brain after a trip to the Disney store, but that was let it go. Number 5. Walt was an FBI informant. In the 1950s, the Cold War placed two opposing ideologies in conflict with each other, the capitalist system of the US and the communism of the Soviet Union. Both sides threatened each other with nuclear destruction. The mutual distrust was huge. In America, the government, petrified of communist spies, leaned on influential businessmen to weed out communists in their companies. Walt Disney was only too happy to oblige. After all, he was a true American patriot who helped out in World War II by making propaganda cartoons. Walt Disney became one of the FBI's biggest informants, striking up a close friendship with its director, J. Edgar Hoover. One of the people Disney reported on was an animator, David Hilberman. Walt knew he was a communist because he often spent time at the Moscow Art Theater. Disney also let FBI agents go to Disneyland for free and made 3 Mickey Mouse Club TV shows extolling the virtues of the FBI. It sounds like Walt would rather have been an agent than a filmmaker. Number 4. There are real skeletons on the Pirates ride. Before Pirates of the Caribbean was a never-ending film franchise featuring a gurning Johnny Depp, it was a famous ride at Disneyland. Riders embark on a relaxing boat ride, but it's interrupted by a pack of pirates. When it was built in 1967, supervised by Walt Disney himself, the design team thought the fake skeletons strewn around the ride lacked that certain something. They called their friends at the UCLA Medical Center and asked if they had any real human bones lying around. Luckily, the medics were happy to help, and some real skulls and crossbones still decorate the ride today. While these skeletons were put there by Disney designers, a lot of human remains enter Disney's theme parks more sneakily. Disney's films and parks play such a strong part in many people's lives that when they die, they ask for their ashes to be scattered on Disney rides. Pirates of the Caribbean is a regular final destination. However, it's the Haunted Mansion that is the most popular last request. In fact, Disney had to install special HEPA air filters to remove the human particles from the air. I thought the atmosphere was a little crunchy when I visited. Number 3. There have been some strange deaths at Disney. Staying with this grisly theme, I'm sad to report that many people have died at Disney's theme parks. Most of the time, these deaths are due to pre-existing conditions, heart attacks, strokes, that sort of thing. Sometimes, however, it's a little more unpleasant. In 1974, 18-year-old Debbie Stone was singing in a musical show at Disneyland called America Sings. However, during one evening show, theatergoers heard some terrifying screams coming from backstage. Debbie was found crushed to death between a rotating wall and the stage. Even today, no one knows how it happened. In 2004, Javier Cruz, who was playing Pluto in Disney World's daily parade Share a Dream Come True, was run over and killed by a parade float. He tripped in front of the float, and it couldn't get out of the way in time. However, this happened in a backstage area, so no guests saw what had happened. Number 2. Cast members used to share underwear. At Disneyland, to keep the illusion that the characters are actually real, the cast members inside the costumes had to wear regulation company-issued underwear. The reason for this is that if you wore your own personal underwear, it would create a visible line, which the guests could see, and then they might think that the 7-foot cartoon mouse isn't really real. At the end of each shift, cast members had to hand in their underwear for washing. However, when they started receiving dirty and smelly underwear at the start of their shifts, and contracting nasty conditions like pubic lice and scabies, people started to suspect that these undergarments weren't actually being washed very well. Disney finally declared that while cast members still had to wear uniform underwear, they could take them home to wash them. I'm sure the guests were also happy not to have to watch Mickey Mouse constantly scratching his groin. Before I reveal the number 1 spot, I'd like to remind you to subscribe if you've enjoyed this video. We upload amazing, fact-filled list videos daily. Also, make sure to click that bell icon to stay updated, or you'll regret missing out on some amazing knowledge that could have filled your brain. Now let's get back to it. Number 1. There are abandoned Disney theme parks. Cast your mind back to number 6 on our list, the brain-eating Parasites in River Country. Well, River Country eventually closed in 2001. It may have been because of that nasty amoeba, or maybe the guests had stopped coming, but rather than dismantle River Country, Disney just abandoned it, leaving it to rot. The slides, pools, even the offices are all still there, just as they were when the park closed. Everything is covered in water and moss, and the local wildlife has moved in a big way. The area is heavily guarded by Disney, so that dream of visiting an abandoned water park may have to wait. Another abandoned park is Discovery Island, not far from River Country. It was a nature reserve until Disney closed it in 1999. Again, it was just left alone, heavily guarded against intruders. Why is Disney hiding these abandoned parks anyway? Surely they could build some amazing attractions on this prime real estate in the middle of Disney World. I guess we'll never know the secret until Disney wants to tell us. Do you know any more dark secrets behind our favorite film company? Also, which secret did you think was the darkest? Leave us a comment down below to let me know. Thanks for watching.